Alrighty, we're gonna get started. So, great job with all the ideas that we came up with for the last meeting. The purpose of this meeting really is to decide exactly which idea we're going to propose to Fred and Kerry, and then to come up with how we're going to put that into practice and how it would be evaluated as a idea, just so that Kerry and Fred really have the full picture moving forward. Does anyone want to start with which idea they would like to go forward? Do you want me to review the ideas that we had?
I mean,
go ahead.
Out of the three, I think we had said limiting Wi-Fi, hiring extra staff, or opening a second location. I think the most feasible is limiting Wi-Fi. I think that's going to be the best solution for the issue at hand, and will probably be the most affordable and easiest to implement.
Shanice, what was your thoughts?
So I was thinking more have more employees work overtime to get the customers in and out, eliminate the long lines, and basically to get them in for the food and get them out. The food seems to be they say there's long lines at a peak time, so that seems to cause a lot of the overcrowding. So if they have more employees around lunch or whatever, dinner, it can decrease the overcrowding.
So I definitely agree that hiring more staff would help with the overcrowding. I think part of the problem is that people are really lingering at the tables. So new people coming in don't have anywhere to sit. So my thought would actually be, just as Jessica said, would be to go with the limiting of Wi-Fi. So I don't know if we want to talk about it a little bit more and kind of.
Well,
Shanice,
so what I went through each of the solutions that we had come up with, and went through the rest of the steps that we have to fill out for this, which was, is it feasible, and how could we monitor whether or not it's fixing anything. And the reason I chose Wi-Fi was because I felt like we could fit that best into the rest of these steps, because with limiting Wi-Fi as a solution, it's obviously feasible. My thought was, every $5 spent on food or drink earns 30 minutes of Wi-Fi. If you're doing laundry, you automatically get 2 hours of Wi-Fi. And like Shani said in the last meeting, using codes that would, give them this limited Wi-Fi and cut them off. And then to determine whether or not it's working, I said that we could do monthly customer satisfaction surveys to see if, the people who are using it regularly think it's back to that original feel that it had, the very relaxed kind of cafe feel. And then also we would have someone monitoring the length of the time that the patrons stay. When I tried to do that with the other solutions, I couldn't come up with a good plan as far as how to make it feasible and how to monitor its effect. So that was my reasoning for going with Wi-Fi. I felt like I could get the most out of that solution, and that it was the most likely to be implemented easily and monitored easily. But Shanice, if you were able to do that for the other one, I'd love to hear that too. In my head, I couldn't make it work.
Well, so what my thinking was for get more employees to handle more customers, more revenue. And one of the things she mentioned was they're not able to reach their maximum potential revenue. So my thing was that can be monitored. If they service more customers, they make more money, and that can be monitored quarterly. Like, hey, the revenue is here. And then my thing was add the Wi-Fi, because that way you push people out, but you're still making the revenue. So that's why I said either up the staff and service more customers, and then how do you review it? Your potential revenue. They weren't mean revenue last quarter, so that's my thinking of how to monitor it.
So just kind of on that, Shanice, part of the stuff that I read when I did the same thing as both of you did, kind of look at the options ahead and see which I could see being a feasible option. And so just looking back at some of the information that we were provided, and I have it pulled up right now, people who stay longer than 3 hours typically purchase one beverage. So they're staying longer using the Wi-Fi, but they're only buying one drink. That's what's affecting, they're taking out the table space, but they're really not spending the money. So that's what I see is affecting the revenue that they're taking in. So if we're able to limit the Wi-Fi, likely, I actually come up with a slightly different way, Jessica. I said if they buy a drink, they maybe get between 30 to 45 minutes of Wi-Fi. If they buy food, 45 to 60. And then if they did laundry, I said 90 to 2 hours, really dependent. So I did it slightly differently. But that way, you're more likely to get a higher turnover of customers using the tables and then purchasing the food. Or if they do want to stay there, I know Jessica had mentioned previously that she's gone to a Starbucks, bought a coffee, and then just stayed there to work. So if they do want to do that, at least they're going to be forced to ultimately drink or buy food just to kind of drag out the time that they're able to be there. So that was kind of
and then it'll make it more relaxed now that I think about it, and the parking space issue. So if we're getting them in and out, it'll bring it to a more relaxed environment versus the overcrowding. Now that you say that, it's like, okay, maybe that was the first step. and the customer satisfaction is going to go back up because they're not going to be like, hey, too much. So
yeah,
I agree.
Okay. So I just want to confirm, it sounds like you're kind of on board with limiting the Wi-Fi?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So with that, I know we've kind of put two different options out there. I'm going to move forward now that we've kind of decided which solution we're going with. I'm going to move forward with how the plan would actually work. So, Jessica, I know you mentioned kind of putting a limit versus how much they spent. And I had gone more the time frame on what they're purchasing, and I had done a little bit of research and pulled up a few websites on how long it takes to drink a cup of coffee, and they say really it takes about 15 to 25 minutes. So just giving them a little bit more time to relax and not rush them. But then also another thing that I had found is I pulled up how companies can limit the Wi-Fi. And it seems like just kind of giving them an access code for a set amount of time. So I'm wondering, just from that, if they bought a drink, they get one access code. If they bought food, it's a different access code. So it might be easier to track it that way, because then it's just 3 access codes versus
right.
Oh, you bought $5. Here's one. You bought $10.
Yeah.
Here's another. I don't know.
I agree. Have 3 different codes: one for drink, one for food, and one for laundry.
Okay. Shanice, how do you feel about that?
I agree. I agree, because my whole thing is their basic line of business is laundry. So I do want to make sure that the laundry, it's more money. You come in, get a higher access code. So I agree.
Yeah, they'll be the longest anyways.
Yeah, well, so really then what would you think the time frames would be? Like, what do you think, if they bought a drink, what sort of time frame did you think we would want to put on there?
I think 30 minutes is plenty for coffee.
30 minutes for coffee, but it depends on laundry. Laundry can take up to like an hour.
Laundry's got to be 2 hours, because to wash and dry, it's about an hour each. I would definitely at least give them 2 hours.
2 hours. Okay.
Do you agree with 2 hours for laundry, Shani?
Yes. So what are we thinking about food? The same as coffee, or?
So I was thinking they would be different. I had estimated, just kind of thinking about how long you're in a restaurant, and I know it's different in a coffee shop, but I was thinking anywhere from 45 to 60 minutes if they ordered food or got some food.
I mean, I think an hour would be good for food. They're spending more money.
Yeah.
They're going to be hanging out. So we do 30 minutes, 1 hour, and 2 hour for our codes?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
And then obviously if they buy a drink with their food, we just give them the food one.
But my only, I know I hate to play devil's advocate on this, but my only question is, as we remember, the food edition was the last edition. So, you know, you got to think of their number one baby is laundry, and their second is the coffee.
Yep.
So we're giving the food I thought was more carry out versus the coffee atmosphere. That was my perception. Because they had, before they added the food, they just had a coffee and laundry. So I'm thinking like, well, maybe we're overlooking their mission. Or
No, that's a good point. I can see that. I'm just thinking if a customer just solely comes in, because I think they added the food for the customers who were using the laundry, was their initial ad, I believe. So I think if the customers are solely coming in to buy food, it just gives them that time to fully eat it. One thing Jessica mentioned was that they're spending more money theoretically.
Yeah.
So that would just be my thought.
okay.
It's a great point, a valid point that you bring up, Shanice, for sure. I'm just trying to think, because I know like at work, if I go out, my lunch break is an hour long. Whereas during the day, I get a 15-minute break as well. So 15 minutes is enough for the coffee or a drink. Whereas on my lunch break, I typically eat.
Okay.
So are you comfortable if we leave it with the 30, 60, 120? Do you want to look at changing any of them?
No, I mean, looking at it that perspective, then yeah, I think we should definitely keep that the same.
Okay. So that's kind of how we would put the plan into place. I mean, did anyone else do any research on really how you can limit the access? I don't know if we need to go into that much depth.
No.
I didn't actually Google it.
That's okay. I don't know if we needed that much depth, so I just kind of pulled the information up just so I had it.
Okay.
And I have all I just have the links ready to go so that we can cite them later.
Okay.
Okay. So how? Sorry, go ahead.
For how to implement, I took that as, you know, we propose solutions. So we go basically tell them the order that they're going to implement. I didn't go into that as far as how the access code or anything. So I was like, okay, that's
Right.
Wi-Fi. Now we implement this a month later. I was thinking more of like time frames.
Okay, so no, that's a great way. I would love to. I almost would like to put both in there, and then they can come back and let us know what they want. So, what sort of time frames do you think they would be?
I mean,
limiting Wi-Fi could be almost immediate. I mean, that
right.
could start like as soon as they get those codes set up, which I can't imagine would take more than a week, if that.
I think you'd also have to potentially, I say market it, but not really out in the public. You just have to put signs up within. So just having clear signs to explain it to customers.
True, because that's going to change. I mean, customers who would normally come in and sit for 3 hours and have a coffee. I mean, but they could do that in a week too. Put the signs up, let them know that the change is coming and when it'll be there. I still think that could be pretty fast.
Okay, Shanice, do you agree? Do you feel like it could be longer?
I agree. It's just a matter of taking out that free Wi-Fi. If it's tearing out those signs, I mean, that's the easy fix, shall I say?
Okay, so we're looking at like within a week we can change this.
I think so.
So I'm writing my notes down.
I am too.
So how, in a few months, how will we be able to evaluate it all? I think, Shanice, you had talked about revenue earlier.
Yeah, see if they're reaching their maximum potential revenue. That's one way of evaluating our customers' surveys.
Yeah, I think a monthly customer satisfaction survey would be a good way to do it. Probably up to a year after the first change, just to see how it's affected the customers who are coming in, especially the ones who were complaining about the atmosphere as it got crowded.
Okay, so we'd look to evaluate by looking at the revenue, see if that's increased, and then looking at the customer satisfaction surveys. I'm just going to read how they came up. I want to see if it says it's just through observations. So I guess even observations would work as well.
Yeah, that was one of my notes, was to just watch the length of the day that the patrons are there. Because I know they had made notes that, you know, they saw those customers there for 3 hours with 1 cup of coffee. So if they were already keeping an eye on that, it wouldn't be hard to just continue that observation.
Yeah. Oh, and actually reading these, it does say people purchase 1 drink per day, on average stay for 20 minutes. So I think the 30 minutes is a good time frame.
Yeah.
For a drink. Okay, so that's kind of three things for evaluating the surveys, because you can also, on a survey, you can ask for the feedback. Definitely looking at revenue, because hopefully they should see that increase, which would be, it's the ultimate goal is seeing that increase, and then just observations of management.
Right.
Okay, perfect. Does anyone have anything else for the evaluations and how that can be done? Okay, perfect. So I guess the next question would be how we're going to work on the presentation. Now, one thing that I was thinking ahead of time, when we got the feedback for the last one, you went in and edited it just to make sure all the grammar and everything was correct. I didn't know if you would mind doing that again this time.
Not at all. I'd love to do it.
Okay, perfect. And then Shanice, the notes, would you want to write either the implement or the solutions part? I already took your part for the problem. I don't know if you saw that.
Okay.
That from last time, but I don't know if you want to write one of the, whether you write it on the side or if you write the piece.
Write this
into the slide.
I'm sorry. You said you want me to type up the solution?
I'm going to take the solutions and type those up and then send them to me and I can put them into the slide. How to implement. I don't mind just kind of adding in some animations to the slide so it looks a little bit more jazzed up.
So I'm sorry.
And then
when you first said I was sitting here with the PowerPoint pulled up. You want to add how to review it and just shoot it back to you guys, or because the solutions look like it's already filled out, it just needs to be flipped.
Oh, the solution, sorry, solutions, I put all 3 of them in and I figured we could delete those. I thought you, when we were saying solutions, I thought you were saying about the evaluate solutions, if you want to do that page.
So that goes to take us back to how to review. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
And I can send you the notes if you need to. I think there's send those over tonight. So if you do that, Shanice, and then if you email it to me, email it over to me, I'll get the plan, really, the plan of how we're going to implement it. I'll put that in. Any of my citations that I use, I think there's already one in there already, and then how I write it, I'll put the other ones in, and then just if you can just edit it before we submit it. How does that sound?
Sure, that sounds good to me.
Okay. So I'm actually
perfect.
Type that in now. And shoot. So I said I'm actually going to type down, because I was writing down the information as we were meeting. So I was just going to type it back into the template you sent us and shoot it back over by email to you.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Alrighty. Does anyone have anything else?
one thing I do want to be leery of is, are we supposed to, because the instructions kind of confuse me. Are we supposed to, because we're building on top of each other, are we only supposed to submit one solution at a time, or is it supposed to be like some kind of master plan with all of our solutions? That's what I don't want to.
We only pick one solution. In the template, I just put all 3 of our solutions, and I figured we could delete out the other 2.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I was like, it's always a catch-22 with these instructions.
Yes, no, I think because I think within the deliverables they're talking about conflict, because we had to read about that conflict. So I think it was, okay, now you have 3.
Okay.
How do you work with coming down with one and kind of working through that conflict?
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's
perfect.
And then we all submit our videos, which this one I'm going to save, and this is yours, Megan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. This one's mine.
Okay, I'll send you the link. So this is the project where we submit our videos, and then our facilitator feedback thing or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. And then the next we meet on the 4th project, correct?
I don't believe we do.
Yeah, I think it's individual. The only reason we'd have to meet again is if any of us don't master our facilitation goal.
Okay.
So we'll have to be in contact through email if we need to do that, if someone needs to go through and do another call.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
All right, perfect. Well, I will look forward to seeing your emails, ladies.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you.
Alrighty. All right. Goodbye.
Thanks for your patience with me. Sorry. Thank you.
It's all good.
Bye. Have a good one.
Bye.